On today's video, the NFL Players Association selected their first ever All-Pro team. KC leads the pack with 4 selections, but one defender gets snubbed yet again. We give you our regular season Chiefs MVPs and take a look at Jags versus Chargers. Stick around.
The NFLPA selected their very first All-Pro team, all player voted, and the Chiefs led the way along with the San Francisco 49ers. For the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and punter Tommy Townsend. Mike, who did the San Francisco 49ers have?
The 49ers put in Kyle Juszczyk, fullback. They put in left tackle Trent Williams, defensive end Nick Bosa, and linebacker Fred Warner. So, yeah, we led the way with the 49ers. These are probably the 2 favorites on each side of the division. So they're looking for another. I think they want another repeat of the Super Bowl, Steve. I think they want that revenge.
Hey, if they want a repeat, we'll take a repeat outcome. So we'll take that Lombardi. But man, Fred Warner made it. And that's kind of odd. It looks like Nick Bolton has been snubbed once again. He was snubbed as a Pro Bowler, and now he's snubbed on this All-Pro team. If you start looking at just that, Fred Warner versus Nick Bolton, Mike, do you have the stats on that? Because I'm pretty sure Nick Bolton has been more successful this season than Fred Warner.
Yeah, this is a player voted thing. So it's kind of odd that the players, I don't know. Nick Bolton, what did he do? He doesn't get the respect he deserves. Fred Warner has 79 solo tackles compared to Nick Bolton's 108 this season. Nick Bolton is second in all of the league, whereas Fred Warner's tied for 23. They both have 2 sacks. They both have 1 forced fumble. But actually, Nick Bolton has 2 interceptions to Fred Warner's 1 interception. So again, I don't know how Nick Bolton isn't even in the conversation. He was snubbed at the Pro Bowl, even though he led with fan votes. He couldn't get there. People just overlooking Nick Bolton and overlooking like the dogs that we have on this defense. They just don't give him credit. I feel like Snead's kind of in the same boat as well.
The only thing that I can think of is Nick Bolton pissed in somebody's Cheerios because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, otherwise, it's just what you said. He's just getting completely overlooked. And I wonder if that's exactly what it is, because Nick Bolton does everything quietly. He's a very humble player. He's not out showing off. He's not doing anything crazy. He doesn't talk a lot. So maybe that's what it is. I mean, otherwise, it makes no sense to me because Nick Bolton has been absolutely excellent. But that even falls into Chiefs Kingdom. Even our own fans, there's some that don't like Nick Bolton and think that he's not good and that he was a terrible draft pick and they want him gone and this and that. I don't understand how you can look at this guy's stats who's playing at an all-pro level and not like him. It makes no sense to me. And this just kind of falls into that same category, man.
Yeah, this was supposed to be his sophomore slump season. He was supposed to take a step back. He didn't. He took a step forward. Nick Bolton is going to be a key piece to this defense and this Chiefs championship run for years to come. But getting back to the other players, Mahomes, that's obvious. He just broke the all-time yard record. He's probably going to be MVP this year. You got Travis Kelce. I mean, you can't say enough about Travis Kelce. He's the best tight end maybe to ever do it when it's all said and done. Chris Jones, 15 and a half sacks this year. He surpasses Aaron Donald probably this year, is the most intimidating interior defender. And then, of course, Tommy Townsend. We've been trying to tell you guys Tommy Townsend is a gem. Let's not run him out of KC. This guy can flat out play the game, and he can kick the ball, and he can kick with a vengeance.
That should kind of show everybody what kind of temperament this fan base has. We wanted to run one all-pro player out of town because some ex-punter decided to open his mouth. And then we also don't like someone that was snubbed from the all-pro team. So why don't we like players that produce around here? I don't understand. But why don't you guys get in the comments and let us know who you thought should have been on the all-pro team, and if you think Nick Bolton just keeps getting snubbed and why. We want to know what you guys think about it. So get down there and let us know, because we can't figure it out ourselves. It makes no sense. So let's just go ahead and move on a little bit. We're actually going to talk about who we here at All Chiefed Up think were the most valuable players on offense and defense and Rookie of the Year for the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season. So Mike, why don't you go ahead and let us know who the offensive player is?
Okay, so I think it's pretty obvious to see that the offensive MVP for the Chiefs is none other than Patrick Mahomes II. That guy is a beast. He's an all-world, all-planet, all-universe quarterback. We may never see another talent like him in our lifetime. Our grandchildren may not see a talent like this guy before it's all said and done. So, yeah, you just can't say enough about him. They took all of his weapons away. They brought in all new weapons. They've messed with some of the coaches. They messed with some of the play calling. Everybody's tried to replicate the shell defenses. You name it. Patrick Mahomes has had to overcome it. He lost Tyreek Hill while everybody else is gaining weapons. You just can't say enough about Patrick Mahomes, man. He's finding all the receivers this year. He's not discriminating on where he's throwing the ball. I don't remember how many touchdowns he's got, 41, 42 off the top of my head, I think. Yeah, he's just had a good season, man.
Yeah, and one thing about Patrick Mahomes is everyone knows this, but they kind of hold him to his own standard. So he puts up with a lot of, unnecessary criticism, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves either. Things that Patrick Mahomes does every week on Sunday is stuff that would be crazy news if an average quarterback did it, or even some of the other quarterbacks like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. It would be things that, the national media is raving about and fans are going crazy about. Patrick Mahomes does it, and it's just another normal Sunday for him. And if he doesn't do it, then it's a terrible game for him. So, yeah, definitely the MVP of this team. He's the MVP of the league, no doubt. If he doesn't get that, that's a disservice to the entire football world. So, let's go ahead and move on to our defensive MVP of the year. And that's going to be Chris Jones. Talked about him a little bit already. 15 and a half sacks from that interior, man. He's passed up Aaron Donald as the most feared defender in the league, in my opinion. This guy's just an absolute beast, man.
Yeah, I think he's definitely keeps just taking a step forward. He's the clear cut leader of our defense. When we need a closer there in the final minutes, Chris Jones is finding a way to do it. He's an absolute beast. You can't say enough about Chris Jones. I know it's been thrown around. What's going to happen in the offseason? Are we going to extend him? Are we going to trade him for a bunch of draft picks? Veach would be insane to trade Chris Jones for a bunch of draft picks. Then again, Veach does some crazy stuff. He got tons of stuff out of Tyreek. That seems to have worked out. I'll never question what Veach does to a certain extent, but I just don't see Chris Jones. Yeah, I don't see Chris Jones going nowhere, and I don't think people have enough draft capital to get Chris Jones from Kansas City. Let's be honest.
Absolutely not. You do not get rid of the best defender in the league, especially in, interior right there. You have to have that, man. He's an entire game wrecker. He can take over a game at the drop of a hat, and like you said, he's the ultimate closer.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's the best in the game. That's all there is. I'd take Chris Jones over just about anybody in the game right now. Let's go ahead and move on to Rookie of the Year with the Chiefs, Steve. It was a close one. We considered Trent McDuffie, but he lost a few games, due to some injury. We considered George Karlaftis, but he didn't get hot till late in the season. So who did we end up going with, Steve?
Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the Rookie of the Year. I mean, you can't say enough about this guy. He was a 7th-round draft pick. He was looked over by everybody in the entire league. And you had Brett Veach, who was like, man, I want to see him with a good offensive line, because all everybody was seeing was tape from Rutgers where he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage constantly, a terrible offensive line. But they took a chance. This kid came in, his work ethic's through the roof. We said he would take over RB1 before the end of the year, and he did just that, and he's been very successful so far. And I think his ceiling is super high. I don't even think we've scraped the bottom of the barrel of what Pacheco can do for this team.
No, Pacheco is a flat out beast. He runs with intensity. I like everything about him. I think he's a spark plug. He works hard. He's a good kid. Great pick. That's amazing that Veach found him in the 7th round. This does not discredit any of this rookie class at all. This has been one of the best drafts by Brett Veach down the board. We didn't even mention Josh Williams or Watson at the corner position, because those two have come in and played a big role for our defense this year. But I just think even with Karlaftis and McDuffie and everybody else, the only one that hasn't really contributed much is Darian Kennard. Again, I think they're just they're moving him around and seeing where he fits best. But I do think he'll eventually pan out somewhere. But I do think that Pacheco, what he's overcome, and to just come in and take Clyde's job like that and come out of nowhere in the 7th round, it's amazing to watch. Credit to Pacheco.
Right. Well, he kind of had the same slow start as you said George Karlaftis had, but it really wasn't his fault. Karlaftis has been in the game since day one. Pacheco came in later in the year, and he's still almost 1,000-yard rusher. And that's on an Andy Reid offense that does not like to run the ball. So that says a lot about it.
Yeah, he's probably averaging like 10 carries a game max.
Make sure to get down in the comments and let us know who your MVPs for the Kansas City Chiefs are this year and who your Rookie of the Year was, and let us know why. If you agree with us, good. If you don't, let us know why you don't. Let's go ahead and move on to our playoff talk, man. We got one more game we got to cover before this weekend, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Los Angeles Chargers. There's a very good chance the winner of this game is who the Chiefs are going to be facing in our first game in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the winner of this game will be the one we play. We've already picked Buffalo. We've already picked the Bengals. I think both of those kind of get I mean, it's going to be tough games. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're almost bye weeks for them in a way because so much injuries for the other teams. But going into the Jags Chargers, This is a close one, man. I don't know which one I'd prefer. I mean, the Jags are young and hungry. The Chargers have been here before, but I don't think they've ever won the playoff game. I think I'm going to go with coaching experience here, and I do believe Doug Peterson uh, with the Jags is going to have them going. I prefer him over Brendan Staley. I think Staley is too much of an analytical guy. He gets them in trouble a
Yeah.
lot.
He's
Um,
trash.
yeah, like I mean, I don't dislike him as a person, but I just don't think some of his football decisions are the best. But I do think the Chargers are more experienced on the field, and the Jags are more experienced on the coaching staff. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to take the coaching staff in this one. I think he'll have them ready to play. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say the Jags defense is actually good enough to keep the Chargers from rolling. And if Mike Williams can't come back completely healthy this week from those back spasms, I think the Jags may win it about 20-17, 17-14, somewhere in that range. A very close game, but I'm going to give it to the Jags in a squeaker.
I'm definitely leaning towards Jacksonville as well. I think we all know how the Los Angeles Chargers do, man. I think they're going to charge her right there in the first round. They have so many injuries on that offense all the time. The receivers, they got a great receiver room, but they're very injury riddled. You never know what you're getting with them. Justin Herbert, good quarterback, but he's not over that hump, like I don't think he's like in that elite talk everyone likes to throw him in. He's got elite arm talent, but that's about it. I think there's a long way for him to go. And I just think that Jacksonville is super hot right now. Trevor Lawrence has been doing excellent. They're a young team. Like you said, they're hungry, and they have a coach that's already won the Super Bowl. They know what they're going to be coming into in the playoffs here. I think they take it.
Yeah, the Chargers, if you look at them throughout the season, pretty much a disappointing season. I think their two best games that they played all around was probably the two losses to Kansas City, which means if Jacksonville comes out and wears that alternate red uniform with the arrowhead on the helmet, they may get beat. So they better not pick that alternate uni this week. They better stick with the two.
Right. So if Jacksonville does win, are you cool with that? Would you rather play Jacksonville than the Chargers? In my opinion, I think that's best case scenario if the Dolphins don't upset the Bills. I just don't want to see the Chargers again. They always play us like they're the greatest team of all time. It's always close, and we've already had to play them and beat them twice this year. I don't like having to beat a team 3 times in one season. Chances of that are not great. So I would rather see Jacksonville. I think that the Chiefs' experience, along with a coach that has more experience than Doug Peterson, I think that game would probably be easily more manageable than another game against Los Angeles.
Yeah, for all the reasons you said, I would rather see Jacksonville. I know the Chargers always play us tough. They match up well. Derwin James is always physical. Bosa's a handful. And their offense always seems to hit its stride. Mike Williams, them always seem to have career days against the Chiefs, no matter what we do. Jacksonville played us tough the first time, but they are a little younger on offense. They're good on defense. I'll give them credit. They hit. We seen Cisco laying out, Juju and that whole controversy.
Right.
He was headhunting all day, so they do have something to prove. But I do think in the end, I think the Chiefs would match up better against Jacksonville. And I would probably rather see that because even if Jacksonville does win the first round game, this would definitely be new territory for them.
So it's that time of year when people that were eliminated from playoff contention are already making their offseason moves. We've seen some coaches get fired. The coaching carousel's going. There's been players signed. The Chiefs have signed a couple wide receivers. We talk about all that and more in this video right here. Make sure to watch that, get in the comments, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell. And we'll be back tomorrow with more on your Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.